Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's Danny Limelight. And I need all of you to subscribe to According to Woods podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and all other platforms.
What's good, party people? This is According to Woods, and this was meant to be Alyssa Garcia, former Combate Americas, as well as Rizin veteran here, and it seems like she's back with us.
I'm here. I don't know what happened. I'm 110 years. Okay.
It's all right. It's fucking cool. But I have the honor and privilege of talking to a disciple of not a figure, but the actual person, Josh Barnett. All right. She is a Combate Americas deep and risen veteran. She is the one and only Alyssa Tiny Tim Garcia. Alyssa, what's going on?
Nothing. I'm so glad to be here. I'm so excited to talk MMA. I feel like everything has slowed down in the MMA world, and I'm so excited for this.
No, absolutely. It's a weird time. I don't know what this is, right? But I figured, hey, let me just talk to some friends, make some new ones, and it's been cool. I mean, since July, we're like deep into like 300 episodes.
Wow. That's rad. So it has not slowed down for you. That is awesome. That is so rad. Hell yeah.
My wife thinks I'm a fucking crazy person. But the thing that happens to me is I see, it's you're in a team, you're in UWF USA, right? And you see your teammates, you see your friends do cool shit, and you're like, I want to do cool shit too. I have friends that are fighters and pro wrestlers and podcasters and all this teachers and whatever, and they're doing cool shit, and I'm all like, hey, do they want to talk about the cool shit? And I throw the line out there. It's weird because when I first started, I would get like, if I put out like 30, I would, DMs or whatever, I'd get 10 back or maybe even 5 back.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, now we don't have anything to do, so we're like, hell yeah, we'll jump ship. Interview me, please.
No, and that's the thing. So, like, I put out, like, lines, of communication and whatever, and here's the weird thing. Of, like, all of the 10 people that I hit up, all 10 people were like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So can you open tomorrow? Can you do it in the next couple days? They're like anxious, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's so cool. I mean, it's at a time where people are feeling alone because, this kind of pandemic, quarantine, protests, what have you. You can feel kind of sequestered, right? You can feel pressure and depression and all that stuff. So for a guy like me who I want everybody to be friends, it's just like, which seems kind of contradictory because like I'm involved in the combat sports scene, right?
Because
like,
we should have each other. Our line of business.
Yes. Yeah, so it's contrarian, but I mean, here's the thing. I mean, you yourself are a fighter, so again, if two people who can engage in battle for 5, 10, 15, 25 minutes and literally throw everything but the kitchen sink, everything but the kitchen sink at each other, and then at the end of it be like, cool, hugs and whatever.
Right.
Like, what the fuck are the rest of the world doing? You need more MMA in your life. And when the people in the community start fighting amongst each other, I'm like, don't do that. Like, you know what this is. Don't.
Yeah, it's a scary time for MMA fighters too, because sometimes we pop off. With everything that's going off, I'm like, woosah. Like, sometimes I'm like, don't do it. Don't hit her. Don't hit him. Don't do it. I'm telling you, I have some stories. If you want to hear some, I mean, it's been rough. It's rough time. We can't go out and beat the shit out of each other for money. So sometimes we just got to beat the shit out of people for fun. It's
Like
hard.
I
It's hard
wonder,
times.
which I mean, earlier last year we had a deal of, oh, let's get some toilet paper and whatever. I'd hate to be in the same grocery store as Alyssa Garcia, or Victor Henry or Josh
Yeah.
Barnett. You know, like
Two plus
I'm
of
gonna
people
be,
for TP.
yes. It's just like over under, bam, there you go, in the middle of the damn
I
Ralph's parking
love
lot.
it. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, that needs to be something. A comic book, a comic strip. That's hilarious. That'd be so
You know,
sweet.
I the tales of UWF USA, which
Oh,
shit me. I mean, here,
self-incriminating.
yeah. Well, here's the funny thing. I mean, it's a hard thing to do to become a professional fighter, to be one that is a female, one who is a wife and a mother, right? And then,
Right.
oh, you're training with like AJ Bryant and Victor Henry, and your coach is Josh Barnett. Like,
Right.
could you?
Super fortunate. I mean, it's crazy. It's a crazy room. I mean, I'm one of the little guys, but they don't always treat me like the little guy.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, how does this journey begin for the pre-Tiny Tim Garcia, Alyssa Garcia?
Oh goodness. It starts in the wrestling room. I was in high school. I played basketball for like 12 years. I was always into sports. I was always athletic. I always like to compete. I like the idea of competing. I like the idea of winning. That's what it is. I like the idea of winning. I hated losing. And in any sport to be good at, you have to hate losing more than you like winning. And I found that in wrestling. I hated losing, and yeah, I liked to win. Winning felt great, but losing in wrestling, I was like, no, I don't want to lose. My goal is to not lose, right? Which is you're gonna lose, right? I mean, it's impossible, right? And that's what I found in wrestling. I found like in every other sport, I was very dominant, even though I was a little guy. I was like, yeah, I'm always quicker, smart, or technical or whatever. But in wrestling, it was different. It was a boys' room. I was the only girl. They wanted me out. They didn't think I was going to make it. And I was so serious. I shaved my head and I was like, I got into high school and I was like, I want to do cheerleading because that's what you want to do in high school. You want to be a football player or a cheerleader. I did like 3 weeks of cheerleading. And I was like, fuck this. This is a whack. This is not what I want to do. So I jumped in the wrestling room and I found my spark. I was in love with wrestling. I trained at home. Like my first week, I couldn't stop. I just addicted. I was addicted. I loved it. And that's where it started. I wrestled in high school. I wrestled in college, and I didn't really know what to do because I didn't really have the grades to go to like a 4 year or to get a scholarship. And back then, there really weren't a lot of schools that had it. I wanted to go look at like Oklahoma, South Dakota, and I was like, Costco is like the party scene. I'm like, I cannot do this. So that's where it started for me was the wrestling room for sure.
Which, I mean, it's kind of crazy that like wrestling took you, because like imagine if you went the cheerleading route, and they're no less athletes, to chuck
Right.
somebody up in the air. You know how hard it is to
No,
chuck
yeah.
somebody in
And
the
as a
air, right?
flyer, I was that broad that got flown in the air, and I fell on my head and neck. I don't know how many times. I'm like, yo. Besides all the gossip and the crazy hair and makeup, I do not want to do this. This is insane. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I had read that it's like one of the dangerous sports in the world, and it makes sense. I mean, I had girls catching me that had no idea what they're doing. Here I am landing on my neck and stuff. I'm like, nah, I'm good. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
I want to believe that part of your kind of exploration of this cheerleading kind of foray in high school might have been from Bring It On. No?
Maybe. I mean, who didn't want to be a Clover? Like, there's those outfits were so cute. I mean, I'm a tomboy, but I rock that cheerleader outfit every day. It was definitely hard because I was always a tomboy, and then for whatever reason, when it came to high school, it was like, no, you got to be a girly girl. I mean, I was my dad's little boy. That was how I grew up. I was always doing boy things. I was always fishing or doing whatever. So when I got into high school, I'm like, I want to change it up. But then I didn't. I was like, nah.
No, I think that's absolutely tremendous. Now, over on Twitch, Legato says "oi," so "oi."
Oi!
Yes, shout out to you, good sir, and or madam. I'm not sure. Hopefully,
Today.
it's a sir. Yeah, but so obviously, you were kind of entertaining, maybe possibly going to a away from Southern California. But again, you were saying like some of the party scene and what have you is a Costco. I mean, I've got family in New Albany, Mississippi, right? Where like the super Walmart is like the bee's knees. Like people
That's
get
so
proposed
cool.
to. Yeah, but
You
that
got
was
proposed at Walmart.
yes.
I
Like
love
get the
it.
ring. Like, I
I
I
love
love
it.
you. Like
Just like that.
no
I
teeth.
love you.
Yeah, just no teeth,
So
no
you.
education. Just I love you, which doesn't sound all that different than Yoel Romero is I love you, right? Like
I
I
love
mean,
you. I love you.
yeah,
I love you. Just with teeth. No neck. No neck, but with teeth.
yeah. It's King Kong Bundy is what we're saying. So I'm just saying, but
Um,
but so when there's big wrestling schools of the I guess the dust belts, the rust belt, right? Don't happen for you. Like, at what point are you going to like? Well, I need to do something, right? And maybe
yes.
fighting might be a foray into that. Like, how long after your kind of high school and college kind of foray did fighting kind of enter your mind? No, it was a. I think it's a Bluetooth. It's the Bluetooth. Yeah, just take the Bluetooth off. Ain't no stinking. No, it it went completely off. It's weird.
Okay, are we
Oh,
back?
there you are. Yeah,
Oh
you're back.
Lord, I didn't even touch it this time. Jeez, I think it was this that went out. I'll use my speaker though. It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it's actually right after high school. I didn't know what to do. I was like, I'm not gonna go. I went to Cerritos College to wrestle, but the lowest weight class was 125, and that was way too big for me. I did tournaments and I won a couple matches, but it was just I was like 105. It was just not realistic. Yeah. So I was hurting my shoulders and I'm like, dude, I don't know what to do. My brother and actually my high school wrestling coach, Jason Buzzard, shout out. He was like, dude, you should do jujitsu. It's like wrestling. I'm like, no, it's not. You're on your back. Like, you're not supposed to be on your back like that. It's not how it's supposed to be. Like, I sounded like an old lady. Like, that's not how it's supposed to be. So I was like, all right, I'll try it. So I went, and the gym that I started off at, he's like, look, teach a kids wrestling class. You don't have to pay. Just teach class. You know how that goes, like that. And I was like, all right, cool. So I started doing jiu-jitsu, and I started doing boxing at the same time. And like 3 months into training jiu-jitsu and boxing, the coach at the gym I started off at was like, you want to fight? You get paid $100. I'm all, $100? Holy shit, I'm going to be rich. Oh my God, let's do it. $100. Yes. So I signed up. It's so funny. I'm thinking $100 is so much money. Which it is. It is. Don't get me wrong. It is a lot of money. So I did it. My first fight was at Boss Rutan's.
Elite MMA?
Yeah, I don't know. No, it was the weigh-ins were at his gym, but he started a fight promotion, an AMI fight promotion. I cannot remember the exact name of it. It was like Boss Rutan something. Boss was there. So go back 3 months before I even started this fight. My coach that I started off with was like, yo, we need to watch all these like fight documentaries, right? So I watched like Mark Kerr and some Dustin Poirier when he was fighting the life of a champion. Oh,
yeah.
Great documentary, and which made me fall in love with Dustin Poirier in so many ways. And then so I never knew who Boss Rutan was until I had watched some documentaries about Mark Kerr and watching Pride fights and stuff. Like, it happens to be like 4 months before I even met him. So I see him, I'm like, holy shit, that is the Boss Rutan. Like, oh my gosh, like what the heck? Is no one else like tripping out, right? But a lot of these people didn't really know who he was when, like people came to watch people fight. I'm like, dude, I'm like telling my mom, like, that's Boss Rutan. She's like, Moss? Who? What? Who's that? I'm like, forget it, whatever, right? So anyways, it's super cool, like first fight. So that's how I got into it. An old coach and my brother pushed me into jiu-jitsu, and that's how I started getting into everything. And that's how I got my first AMI fight.
That's incredible. And I think it's also fun, right? Because Bas Rutten is a former king of pancrase, and your current coach is a former King of
Right.
Pancrase, and that's kind of fun, right?
I mean, it was pretty rad. Him and Josh were talking, and they were like hanging out. I'm just sitting there, like I usually do with Josh. Just let him talk to legends. I'm just sitting here, like with my mouth open, like, oh my god, drooling over who he's talking to. It was amazing. It was a really cool first fight for sure. But it's funny because I didn't know Josh. I didn't know him at all because I wasn't training with him yet. I didn't train with Josh until I was already a pro fighter.
Really? I did not know this.
I know. Yeah, can you hear me okay? I'm sorry.
It
sounds funky.
It kind of garbled a little bit, but I can hear you.
Yeah, because it sounds kind of funky too. We practiced this and it worked so good.
No, you're good. You're good now.
I'm good now?
Yeah, you're good. Uh-oh. And Legata is saying,
you sound funky to me. I don't know what's going on, but can you?
Yeah, I kind of hear it too. Here's the thing. I'm gonna jump out and then jump back in. You continue with the story. I'm gonna jump out and jump back in.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah. Actually,
you sound better. Can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely. You sound great.
Okay, good. Yay! Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Of course. That's what happened to me.
No worries. It's live. It's fun. This is what makes it fun. Makes fun. It makes
so
interesting
I actually
times.
Just start training with Josh Till. I know, huh? It makes it so real. This is real life, guys. But yeah, so I didn't actually start training with Josh until I was already a pro fighter, like 2 pro fights in. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So how many fights did you have as an amateur?
I had 3, and I went 3-0. Which now that I look back, yeah, I wish I would have been amateur longer. It was hard to find fights at 105 at that time. It wasn't really a thing in the pro scene as far as like for the beginners. Like people are more green because my first pro fight would probably have been with oh my gosh, super well known women's league. I think of it right now. Victa would have probably won Victa, and my good friend actually, Carla Esparza, was a big person I looked up to because she came from a wrestling background. She was smaller than a lot of the other girls, and I was like, oh my god, like if you put me in pro and Victa, like those are the people I'll fight. Like what the heck? Like I'm not there yet, you know? And yeah, so I the coach I was with at the time wasn't really didn't really have an experience coaching athletes as far as amateur to pro, and so I think a few mistakes were made as far as not letting me get more AMI fights, and then the transition to pro was just kind of all over the place. So when I ended up going to CSW, which my old coach had introduced me to, he figured it'd be a good change for me, a good spot for me to go. There was girls there, Shayna Baszler, Marina was there.
Marina Shafir, yeah.
Jessamine Duke, Marina Shafir. All of them were there. So it was, even though they were bigger, it was girls, you know, which makes a big difference. And that was a really good transition for me going to CSW, and Josh took me under his wing. You know, I mean, to this day, I remember Shayna telling me, like, dang, when my first couple of practices, she's like, dang, like, you're pretty.
Oh, hey guys, this is According to Woods, and yeah, we'll be back with Alyssa Garcia, who is a Combate Americas Rizin as well as Deep veteran. But yeah, it seems like something's going on. But let's go ahead and talk while she comes back on. Now, for those who don't know, Alyssa Garcia, as she was actually saying, she is a student and product of Josh Barnett. I mean, I'm talking real Josh Barnett. I'm not talking about the figure that just might be at stage left on the right side of my computer, right? Um, so she is essentially a 105er that has competed in deep in Rizin in Combate Americas, which is kind of wild to think about. Wild to think about, and even the fact that her first amateur fight was at Bas Ruten's Art of MMA when Bas Ruten was still running an MMA promotion. It's kind of funny to think about. So we're going to go ahead and see if Alyssa comes back. But while we're here, I think we're talking a lot of MMA, right? And somebody that didn't do MMA well, or actually boxing well, is former NBA star Nate Robinson. So I'm going to share a compilation of Nate Robinson memes. Here we go. And we're back. So, hey guys, it looks like we might have to kill this particular transmission. I'm going to go ahead and check on Alyssa and see where she is and all that. And hopefully we'll be back right back here on According to Woods with Alyssa Tiny Tim Garcia. So thank you guys. I'll see you in a bit.